Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special episode of our show coinciding with the Eid al-Adha feast, the feast of the Greater Baram. Wishing you all the best for your Eid celebrations and festivity. And in tonight's show, we're going to be talking and focusing on the tourism sector, talking about not just foreign tourists, but also talking about the domestic tourism here in Egypt. It's a high time for all Egyptians traveling to all of the country, all of the cities, looking over the sea, be it the Mediterranean, be it the Red Sea. We're going to be taking a closer look on domestic tourism, and joining us here tonight in the studio to shed more light on this issue, we're joined by Dr. Amira Ashraf, the tourist guide. Dr. Ashraf, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Oh, thank you so much for this great introduction. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's my honor to be with you, Hani.
My pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start our discussion with Dr. Ashraf, let's check out this report regarding Egyptians achieving the highest travel and touristic rates here in Egypt during Eid al-Adha, the Greater Baram feast, and we'll be right back. Domestic tourism is the backbone of the tourism movement in Egypt, especially in light of what the country possesses, as well as the unique and diverse tourism components it is rich in. This is clearly demonstrated during the summer vacation and especially during Eid al-Adha, where hotels and touristic cities in the North Coast, as well as South Sinai in the Red Sea, are witnessing a noticeable rise in occupancy from foreign and domestic tourism. It is worth mentioning that the Red Sea tourism areas in Egypt have become one of the most important destinations and attractions for many tourists from all over the world, as Hurghada has become the most prominent destination for German, British, Polish and Romanian tourists. This comes in light of the adherence of all hotels to preventive measures, in addition to the ongoing supervision by the concerned authorities on food safety, as well as all tourists and hotel establishments are very keen to provide the best services to tourists. Tourism experts explain that the Egyptian state's approach to raising tourism and archaeological awareness among young Egyptians has become a new model to be added to the portfolio of tourism and antiquities achievements in Egypt, stressing that it is a model that should be benefited of. They also praised the role of the Ministry of Tourism, represented by the Tourism Promotion Authority, in using promotion mechanisms through social media platforms, which succeeded in promoting Egypt internally and externally. In this regard, the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities launched a new promotion campaign under the title Egypt Never Sleeps, to revive domestic and inbound tourism from the Arab market during the summer. And within the framework of the Egyptian state's efforts to facilitate the entry procedures for travelers to allow smooth flow of air traffic, and in line with worldwide measures progressively lifting COVID-19 related restrictions, Egypt has earlier decided to lift all constraints pertaining to travel to the country for both nationals and foreigners. Such decision will undoubtedly boost tourism significantly during the coming period, which will help in the recovery of the tourism economy. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, starting off our discussion right away. Dr. Ashraf, now everybody is on a break, everybody is traveling. Egyptians are making use of the big feast, the long holiday. Everyone's traveling all over the country. Mainly, we're talking about the North Coast, Alexandria, Marsa Matruh. Also, a big portion of Egyptians are going to the Red Sea resorts, be it Sinai, yeah. South Sinai, Dahab, Hurghada, Sharm el-Sheikh. Yes. Now, how much of the domestic tourism is it really strengthening the tourism sector, especially during the summer holidays and the Greater Baram feast?
Actually, we cannot deny the huge transformation of the tourism in Egypt after these huge events like the Queens and Kings Parade, like the opening of the 3 airports, the museums. So the tourists come here to see all of this transformation in Egypt, and not just the area of the camel and the desert only. So they come here in order to see the opening and the events like the Karnak Temple Avenue of Sphinx, of Luxor Temple and Karnak Temple. In Luxor as a whole, all of these events under the supervision of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. This transferred the tourism in very huge point. Actually, it's our honor to do. So they come here not just for vacation. They just come as they curious to see what's happened. What's happened in Egypt in all fields, not tourism only. So this is a great point in Egypt. They come here nowadays as we're in the summer and the weather is so much better. I have so many colleagues and friends from US and UK, so they tell me that the weather is so cold in their states and their cities, countries. But here it's much warmer. It's much better for staying or for accommodating their vacation here. So it's much better for them to come for diving, snorkeling, for vacation in general, for our sea, our Mediterranean, our Red Sea, our Sinai, our Golden Sinai.
Yes, yes. Well, usually we're used to a lot of foreign tourists, especially during the summer as well, going to the Red Sea resorts and the whole of Sinai, and used to Egyptians mainly going towards Alexandria and the north coast and Marsa Matruh. But now we're witnessing a lot of Egyptians turning their attention to the Red Sea resorts. How do you explain, or what made the Egyptians all of a sudden are very much aware during the summer weather and during the summer season to also turn their attention to the Red Sea resorts?
For the snorkeling, as I told you before, the snorkeling and the colorful fish, this is a submarine. This is this is a dream of anyone. So they went there for that. For the Red Sea in general, Hurghada, it's for Sinai as well. So this is for snorkeling, diving, and to enjoy their time. And some of my friends, and this is totally weird for me, they love sharks. And I don't know why. Actually, they come to watch the sharks, how shark invade its enemy or invade human. And some of them, like dolphins, and dolphins are available in many places in the Red Sea. That's why they go there.
Yes.
And many of our tourists are Russian to visit the Red Sea in general. They are Russian. So Russian love the Red Sea in general for their very cold. This is too cold in Russia, by the way.
Yes.
So they come here to enjoy our weather, our warm weather in the Red Sea, not the Egyptian only.
Yes.
That's it.
The hotel occupancy rate has been quite high, and a lot of the hotels have been going through major transformations, and it mainly started a few years ago and developed more during the coronavirus pandemic, and now there's a change as well in the strategy and how to develop the hotels, being environmentally friendly and really going for a green sort of direction. Now, with your interactions and your experience with tourists, be it Egyptian tourists or foreign tourists, what is the reaction and what is the response of the tourists for the hotels? How are you explaining these really high rates of occupancy?
Actually, the tourism is playing so big role, the biggest role in this play. Actually, if we market 100% so well, excellent, excellent marketing for our heritage or our civilization, we can attract the tourism from all over the world. So now our marketing is, from my point of view, it's 98%, which is so nice.
Yes.
Now our hotels are occupied by the tourists from all over the world, as you told me before, because of the marketing to watch our events, our recently events, like the museums, like the conferences. The celebrations by 6th of October, like 30th of June, like our revolutions, like our huge transformation. We totally changed after 30th of June or after this marketing, like the Karnak Avenue of the Sphinx. The Avenue of the Sphinx is the road of the Sphinxes as a guardian for the temple itself. For the two museums, the GEM, the Grand Egyptian Museum, in Remaya Road.
Yes.
And for the Egyptian museums, Egyptian Museum in Tahrir and the Alexandria Museum in Alexandria, all of these museums are opened at the same time.
Yes.
So all of these events are happened at the same time. So this is itself is a marketing.
Yes.
So once we announce or once we advert on these events, so we can gain so much many tourists or millions of tourists in Egypt at the same time, and that's what's happened.
Yes. Well, speaking about marketing tools and really promoting Egypt as a touristic destination. Now, you've mentioned, for instance, all the museums, all the historical events, the national events,
and the excavations
as well. I mean, day by day we hear of new discoveries. Yes. So, what else can we do, or what else can we use as a marketing tool and a marketing strategy, other than all these big cultural events? We've seen the hashtags on social media. We've seen visits by celebrities, international celebrities coming to Egypt and promoting Egypt as a destination. We've seen musical concerts. You've alluded to the events that have been taking place. What else can we do? What else can we use? Because it's an ongoing process and it needs constant creativity and research and development. What else can we do to keep up with a very fierce, competitive sector such as the tourism sector?
Yes, actually I discussed a very important point. I discussed before in my master degree. My master degree was for heritage conservation and site management. In my topic is talking about reviving of heritage through animated movies for kids. So we can create animation for to be teaching or a learning way. For example, we can do animated movies for kids talking about the Egyptology as a whole, talking about our heritage, our tourism, our civilization. All of this is a culture we can put or we can create in our kids. And for about us as parents, we can overview or we can watch our kids and also we can watch these movies just to know about our heritage or about our civilization, about our history. This is, in my point of view, is so important thing. And this is a dream of me to do something like that, to create something like that, to teach the historiography through entertainment, through animated movies, and not just something like Saladin movie. I'm talking about the live movie. The live movie is okay. It's a great project, but for kids, we have to learn them as for their mentalities. So we have to give them the idea of that. And we have so many adults who do not know anything about their history or about their heritage. That's why we have to do it as something like creation or something like a reminder for them to our civilization or to their civilization. Actually, I'm talking about the Egyptian civilization.
Yes.
But this is so many important things from my point of view. We have puppets, theater of puppets and puppeteers. We can do something like that. It will be much more interesting for kids and for adults, by the way.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, definitely a lot more can be done in terms of marketing and promotion of Egypt as a destination, as Dr. Ashraf has mentioned, using creative entertainment tools to promote a civilization, a science that is being taught all over the world, the Egyptology teaching, the civilization and the history. And this is only one part of the tourism here in Egypt. Let's go out for a short break and we'll be right back.
Let's celebrate. Eid al-Saeed, let's enjoy this happy day. Eid al-Mubarak, come on, let's celebrate. Eid al-Saeed, let's enjoy this happy day. Eid al-Mubarak, come on, let's celebrate, celebrate. Let's celebrate. Allah, Allah.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, continuing our discussion with Dr. Ashraf. Now, you spoke about a lot of foreign tourists coming to Egypt, and they mainly, as you've mentioned, they go to the Red Sea resorts and Sinai. Now, do we witness or see foreign tourists going the other direction as well? Do they go to the north coast? Do they go to the Mediterranean? Or are they mainly Egyptians who go to the Mediterranean?
Actually, most of them, to be honest with you, they went to Sinai and the Red Sea. But for the Mediterranean, almost Egyptians. But we have tourists are there. But
Yes.
almost, or the major of them are Egyptians.
Okay, and the nationality is going to the Red Sea. You've mentioned a lot of Russians. You've also
Yes.
mentioned Germans.
Russians mainly, Spanish as well. But for the Germans and Americans and English, they love the cultural tourism more. So they come here in Cairo or Luxor and Aswan. They love the academic or the information more. They love our civilization. They amazed from our civilization, how our civilization is created. Something like the event of Ramesses II and the direction of the sun on his face on two events or on 2 dates. Date of celebration and date of the coronation, date of birth and date of coronation. They come from America the most to watch this celebration and watch how he did so.
Yes.
And we have the statue of Ramesses II as well in the GEM, the Grand Egyptian Museum in Ramaya Road. And the sun as well, we have here an engineer did the same, let the sun directed on his face on those 2 dates, the date of birth and the date of the coronation as well.
Well, you've mentioned the GEM, the Grand Egyptian Museum,
Yes.
a few times, and it is one of the most anticipated events, the opening, the inauguration of the Grand Egyptian Museum.
Yes.
Now, as a tourist guide now, how big of a deal is it for the tourism industry and the tourism sector here in Egypt? And do tourists already and travel agencies, are they booking for trips and tours for the museum that we're still anticipating the inauguration of?
Yeah, actually, it collected more than 100,000 pieces or masterpieces from the stores of the old museum in Tahrir Square, and also some of the pieces that are exhibited before in Tahrir Square. It took these pieces, and actually we have a collection. This is a great collection of Tutankhamun King. It's so great collection. It will be the greatest all over the world. The greatest collection all over the world. Once it's exhibited, all of us as a conservator team, we amazed from that. So what about the tourism?
Yes.
The tourists and the Egyptians as well.
Yes, definitely.
So.
Well, speaking of the industry, the tourism industry and the tourism sector as a whole, now, over the past 10 or 11 years, Egypt went through many changes, a lot of ups and downs, and the tourism sector has been one of the hardest hit sectors in Egypt. Now, looking at where it was since 2011 and now 2022, how much of a shift, how much of a jump and a big leap is it for the whole industry, everyone who's working within the tourism sector? Explain to me, or how do you evaluate this sort of change and leap?
Actually, if we compared between Tahrir Square, how much is converted to be a paradise, you can compare between it on 2011 till now, 2022. So it was a disaster. Everything is destroyed in Tahrir Square. And now it's a paradise. The decoration, it's full of colorful light. We have 4 sphinxes from Karnak Avenue Sphinx.
Yes.
So it's so great thing, or a very great area for to helping in decoration. This is just for marketing for the tourists are here in Egypt. You know, Tahrir Square has so many travel agencies and so many hotels at the same time. So once you watch the view from any hotel window, you can see all of this view, which is so nice, which is so great to attract the tourists there. So we cannot deny out of these efforts of Dr. Khaled Al-Anani. My doctor, actually.
Yes.
Our minister of, our ministry of antiquities. All of these efforts cannot be denied in working on not just Tahrir Square. I'm just talking about the Tahrir Square as it's the most famous landmark in Egypt. But we have so many transformations in all. If we talk about the routes, about the bridges, about the museums, airports, train, the electrical train. This is just a dream for me as a whole, to take the way from here in Cairo to Aswan in just 4 hours. I took it before in 18 hours, which is so, just so weird how to do so. So this is much better to do. So they're not just on decoration, they're working on how it's working, how it will be faster, how it will be faster, how to develop or to improve ourselves on all fields, in engineering and architecture, in tourism, in advertisements, everything.
Yes.
We're working at the same time on all of these fields, which is so many efforts are done, we cannot deny.
Yes. Well, what markets do you think our industry, tourism industry, should target? I mean, there are a lot of European tourists coming to Egypt. You also mentioned American tourists coming to Egypt. Are there certain markets that we need to penetrate, we need to attract more of? Latin American market, somewhere in the Far East as well. Do we need to attract different markets, try to get different nationalities that are not so common to Egypt?
Yes, sure. We have so many discoveries, as you mentioned before, and we have everyday excavations. In my point of view, I can see that there is a plan to opening more than museums all over Egypt. Some of these museums will be in Alexandria, will be in Cairo, will be in Asyut. You know, Asyut and Minya have so many monuments underground, so we can exhibit or we can discover all of these. We can excavate there in Asyut and Minya to take all of this. Actually, Asyut, it was, for the history, it was a Coptic dwelling for the Coptics at a time. In Minya, the same.
Yes.
Here in Egypt, this is just for English, French, that's it. But for Asyut and Minya, they have so many pieces underground. We have so many monuments and treasures under the ground. We can exhibit more of them. We can open museums in Asyut and Minya. Actually, we have in Minya Malawi Museum, which exhibits the medical field, which we're not working on it here in Cairo. Actually, this is my experience. I didn't find anything talking about the medical field in pharaonic period here in Cairo. But I visited before Malawi Museum in Minya.
Yes.
I found actually how they were great and excellent in medicine. So we can work on it here in Cairo. We can open a medical museum in Asyut or in Minya for this field. We have also the art in general. We have so many artists during the pharaonic period. We can work on them. Actually, we have arts in museums in Aswan. So, in my point of view, we have to have a museum in every single governorate here in Egypt.
Yes.
As every single governorate has its treasures.
Yes.
So we can exhibit all of them. Not just pharaonic period, we have so many civilizations like pharaonic period, Coptic period, or Byzantine period. We have the Islamic period. We have Greco-Roman, which is mostly found in Alexandria. We have museum in Alexandria under the water, and it's so great a museum, by the way. We have to work on all of these museums. We have so many treasures to market for, so we have to work on them. We have to mention all of them from time to time to the tourists as a marketing. That's it. And to reflect or to show them in the movies, as I told you before. Not a condition to do this in an animated movie, but we can do it in any other way. We have festivals, we have traditions, we have intangible heritage we can talk about. So we have festivals like Mahragan al-Tubul. We have Subu'. This is an Egyptian tradition we can
Yes.
talk about. We have Al-Hanna, Al-Hanna. We can talk about that. This is just an Egyptian tradition. So we can do it in every single governorate. We not just have Cairo and Alexandria.
Yes.
We have South Egypt, which is Said Misr.
Yes.
And we have north of Egypt. This is Alexandria, and it's okay. We
Yes.
work on it. But we have so many traditions in South. Have to talk about. We have so many meals to do. We can revive all of this intangible heritage. We have two types of heritage, tangible and intangible. So the tangible is our monuments and our museums and so
Yes.
on. But our intangible heritage, our artists like Kulthum, Abdul Halim, and our legends,
Yes.
we can talk about. We have the traditions and habits, like I mentioned before, the festivals and traditions here. Something like our Eid al-Adha, or
Yes.
the Feast of Sacrificing. We have this tradition. We have to sacrifice our sacrificial animal, regarding its type,
Yes.
regardless its type. We have so many traditions to mention. We have Subu', as I told you
Yes.
before. We have the tradition of Sabahiyya, which is Egyptian tradition only.
Yes.
Only. No one had this tradition except Egyptians.
Yes. Well, you've mentioned a lot of events, a lot of cultural and heritage sort of landmarks, if we may call it. And you've also mentioned the south of Egypt, Upper
Yes,
Egypt,
Upper
places like Luxor and Aswan, and also to the north is the Mediterranean, to the east is the Red Sea and
Yes.
Sinai, and to the west it's Siwa as well, and the Great Desert. Now, usually Upper Egypt, Luxor and Aswan, it's mainly during winter season when everybody goes there. So do tourists, maybe foreign tourists, make the trip to Upper Egypt, to Luxor and Aswan during the summer? What about areas such as the Great White Desert and Siwa Oasis? Do tourists go there often as well during the summer season?
Yes, both of them at the same time. You know, it's so expensive for them to come twice, once in winter and once in summer. So they come and visit all at the same time. My experience was once I traveled to Aswan before. I had on the same train tourists. They were in Alexandria, so their train come from Alexandria to Aswan. So they visited the Mediterranean, as you mentioned before, the north coast in Alexandria. Then they traveled to spend their rest of vacation or accommodation here in Luxor, then Aswan. Actually, most of tourists prefer the cruises. So the cruise is to the one who doesn't know what's the cruise, it's something like a hotel in a form of ship. Something like Titanic. Yeah, it is. So they took it from Luxor to Aswan, and it takes from 3 to 4 days or 4 to 5 days. They take it to visit the temples and to know the culture of Luxor to Aswan.
Yes.
So they take it to Edfu, Fila, or Fila, the Olaf temples. Then they travel to, or they're transferred by the bus to Abu Simbel to watch this event that I told you before about.
Yes.
The direction of the sun on the head of Ramesses II
Yes.
on his birth and his coronation dates.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, as you've just heard, a lot of things to do in Egypt during summer and winter season. A lot of places to go to. Let's check out this. Let's go out for a short break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Continuing our discussion with Dr. Ashraf. Now, Doctor, you've been in the industry for many, many years. Now, how is it, because everyone was at some point reluctant to get into the tourism industry, but now it is one of the most active and profitable, lucrative sectors in the Egyptian economy. How do you see a lot of people starting their own travel agencies, going for the tourism industry, working as guides, opening their own platforms, using social media as a marketing tool, and actually starting their own business, small tourism business, through social media?
Yeah, actually, I have so many colleagues and friends work on travel agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And in tourism as a whole, some of them have their own travel agencies. Some
Mm-hmm.
of them are just agents in the travel agencies,
Mm-hmm.
and some they are working on themselves to be the owner of the travel agency, or to be a tour operator, not just a tour guide.
Mm-hmm.
I have a student before told me that my life dream is to have my travel agency just to talk about our civilization. I want to show our civilization how great it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I love this word from her. So we have so many examples for the youth
Mm-hmm.
that are dreaming for having an effective role in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
Or in the tourism
Yes.
industry.
Well, it seems to be a lot easier as now than it was before, because you can already just start your own, open a new page, or make a new page or a new account on social media, and actually try and facilitate foreign tourists coming, or even domestic tourists, using your page and using your own startup to organize tours and organize weeks in different places in Egypt. Has it changed now over the past few years?
Just for, as I told you before, so many youth working on themselves. For example, they working not to earn money. They're working on themselves to be a volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
So to be a volunteer is to attract the tourists, the tourists to our industry. This is a great role in our field. So some of them, as a tourist today, you're not in need to make a plan for I'll do the first thing for Saturday, I'll do the second thing on Sunday. No, you're not in need to do so. We have just to
follow
book.
certain programs,
Yes,
or
and we have the plan, and we have their program, and we have so many things to attract you as a tourist, or to take a great accommodation here in Egypt. That's it. We have so programs, so many programs.
Do you feel that with a lot of developments taking place around the world, Egypt now seems to be one of the safest places and safest destinations for a holiday? Do you imagine a bigger influx of foreign tourists coming to Egypt, especially during this summer season?
Sure. We have actually so many tourists came to Egypt nowadays in these 10 days to see the sacrificing of the animals. They love slaughtering. I don't know why. Okay, it's okay. Welcome. So it's okay. They come. It's opinions, different opinions from all over the world. So they come here, or they came here, just to see this event and return back to their countries again. We have so many cultures here. We can deal with all cultures. As you know, in our history, Egypt was conquered or was invaded from so many cultures, but we're still solid and we're still strong against them. And they left Egypt, and we still talking in Arabic. So we gain some of their traditions and culture, but not the language itself. So we can deal with any mentality, we can deal with any nationality, come here. So welcome to Egypt.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you've heard from Dr. Ashraf, a lot of things to be done here in Egypt, a lot of places to go to. If you want cultural tourism, if you want beach tourism, if you want an events or a religious tourism as well, many different kinds of tourism all around the world, be it the summer season, winter season, and especially during great feasts such as the Greater Berem Feast. So hopefully you're all enjoying your holidays, and hopefully all tourists, be it domestic tourists and foreign tourists, would have and spend a great time here in Egypt. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this special episode of the Daily Debate marking the Eid al-Adha feast, the Greater Berem, the Feast of Sacrifice. I'd like to thank my guest, Dr. Amira Ashraf, the tourism guide. Dr. Ashraf, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure, Mr. Hani.
Our pleasure. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Hani Saif. Thank you for joining us.